In the Trenches with Ryan Roxie.
Who was your guitar hero growing up, Doug?
I mean, Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, Jimi Hendrix, these guys. Eventually, I discovered one of my all-time favorites, Gary Moore.
Yeah.
And then, Eddie and Randy just both smoked me, just blew my ass away. And Stevie Ray Vaughan. And now the new guys, I mean, like Joe Bonamassa is one of the greatest out there. There's a bunch of new guys too, like Jared James Nichols and Nick Perry. But my influences, if I had to go pound for pound, the one guy is Jimmy Page, because it was everything.
And what a shocker, you play a Les Paul. What a shocker, right? We play the guitars that our guitar heroes played as
Normally,
well.
I like a gold top. That's my favorite is the gold top. But this is a really nice sunburst. So
it's a really nice one.
I'm happy to have it with me right now. But the gold Les Paul is, for me, the quintessential Les Paul.
Well, being that we got into all this fashion and working out, athletic tips and stuff like that, we veered away a little bit from the one that got away, but I'm bringing it back, because the one that got away is about a piece of gear. And now that we're back on equipment, a piece of gear, whether it can be an amplifier, a guitar, or even just an effect, a pedal effect, that you wish you still had, but was either lost, stolen, you had to sell it. So I think we should go with Glenn first. Do you have that one that got away for you?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Do you remember the bass I was playing on the Deep Purple tour 1974-75 as a natural finish P bass? But yes, the same one at California Jam. In 1977 in London to Chicago, and my bass, there you go, and my bass didn't show up in Chicago, and somebody had nicked it, stolen it.
Somewhere between where?
It didn't show up in the it didn't show up in the terminal in Chicago O'Hare Airport. A year later, I got a call from somebody in Texas who got the bass, asking me if I'd like to buy it back. And I freaked out, going, "You got my bass and you want me to buy it back?" But that bass was an iconic bass. It's a 1962 P bass, as the same one as you see on the California Jam video. Yeah, that one. I'm still missing that bass.
Last seen in Texas, or last known whereabouts was somewhere in Texas, and I'm assuming you refused to buy it back, because that sounds like extortion.
I refused to buy it back. I've had to live without it. I've had two basses made to look similar to it that I play when I do the Deep Purple Legacy shows. So people ask me, is that the original? No, it's not. I wish I had the original. I know you're out there, my P bass. Come home to Daddy. Come home to Daddy. Daddy's waiting.
You know what? Let's try and solve the mystery, because the bass guitar had to make its way somewhere from Chicago O'Hare Airport down to Texas. Yeah. And it just so happens that Alice Cooper, Ace Frehley tonight live in Chicago.
Hello.
So check it out. If you have any information about Glenn Hughes's bass that was lost in what was 1973?
1977.
It was 1970. Oh, wow. 77.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of years ago. If you have any information about that, no questions asked, you'll get free tickets to the show, and we'll try and track that bass down to that home address.
Thank you, Ryan.
Texas.
Thank anybody out there. Can you help me, anybody?
Hashtag find Glenn's bass. So here we go. What's the one that got away for you, Mr. Doug Aldrich?
Well, there's a couple. The first one is my very first gold top got away, and I sold it and bought a Star guitar that was just like
like a Charvel.
Yeah,
oh,
that
wow.
was the worst. That's the worst one. My first, the gold top. My sister's boyfriend was selling a gold top, and I had a Sears copy guitar that looked like this, and I thought this was called a gold top, but this is a Sunburst. So he goes, "I'm selling my gold top." And I said, "Okay, I got half the money," and my mom gave me the other half. And I opened it up, and I'm like, "Cool, it says Gibson, all right." And I looked down, I go, "What color is that?" He goes, "That's gold top." I go, "Oh, I thought it didn't matter. I wanted it. It was a Les Paul." So I lost that guitar. But another one that was also the second most important one, which we talked about earlier, was a 68 P bass that I acquired from Andy Johns, the producer. He's not
Of course,
with us anymore,
yeah.
but he worked with everyone from, he was a tape operator for Hendrix, and he worked on Zeppelin albums, and he worked with Cinderella. Maybe you worked with him before, because he worked at Cherokee a lot.
Yes, yes.
And he had that bass right there. It's a 68 Kelly bass, and it was always at his house. We'd hang out at his place, and it was always on the floor in a corner, like it was just not being taken care of. And I said, Andy, I'm gonna get that bass off you one day. And he says, no, you fucking aren't, And one day he called me, he goes, Doug, I need a Les Paul for my son. And I said, okay, I'll trade you. I had a Black Custom, and I traded in the Black Custom for that guitar. And then later, then that bass was so killer, and I don't know why I did it. But I traded it at Norm's Rare Guitars for a 1970 Martin D35, like the kind that
Those are great
Jimmy Page.
guitars, though, too. Those are great guitars, too.
Yeah, it had half Brazilian wood on it, and it sounded amazing. But I just, now in hindsight, I really miss that bass.
Okay. So and right now, whereabouts unknown for that?
Whereabouts unknown, because I'm sure that we could probably track it down. And I've been known to do that once in a while, but it got sold out of Norm's. And that bass, actually, one time I did a session with Bob Daisley, and Bob, the guy who wrote Crazy Train and played with Ozzy in the beginning. And Bob
Daisley was the guy. Bob Daisley was the guy that was at my Alice Cooper audition. Eric Singer on drums, Bob Daisley on bass, and Alice sitting on the couch, and then one guitar player going in. And this is how rock and roll is so intertwined.
Yeah.
The guitarist that I ended up getting that first Alice Cooper gig with, Reb Beach.
No way.
Yeah.
So maybe, and it turns out that Red Beach has Glenn's P bass and my Telly bass right now.
Reb Beach, you've been the suspect the whole time.
What a naughty bloke.
Well, he'll tell you a funny story, and you'll forget all about it, though. See, that's
right.
That's his secret power. Oh yeah. Over a Coors Light, that's what it is.
There it is. There's my baby, Ryan. There it is.
It's 1977.
There's my girl.
Is that Cal Jam?
That's amazing. 1974, and somebody stole it in 1977. Hello.
we have a full task force working. We have top men working on the return of Glenn Hughes' bass.
Come on, now. I've got heavy thumbs for you.
So here we go, folks. We've talked a lot about equipment. We've talked a lot about hair products, apparently.
I'm Ryan Roxie, and I've taken all my years of experience of playing guitar, and I want to pass the torch of rock and roll on to you. Check out the System 12 Guitar Method.